Perhaps even Jordan, if I was talking to Jordan, perhaps he would even say, well, then you can't listen to Paul, right? Paul's got a mystical experience. Perhaps he was on shrooms, right? No. When we look at Paul, this is unique and different because of the fact that Paul himself spends most of his epistles and arguments proving continuity. This is key. This is key. Because any new revelation, remember, Deuteronomy 13, Deuteronomy 18, two important chapters in Deuteronomy that lay out the pattern of what will be expected of any future prophet. And the prophet, in the sense of Deuteronomy 18, the prediction of the coming, quote, prophet, capital P, which is Jesus. It's not talking about Muhammad. It's a prediction of Christ as the coming true prophet. And Deuteronomy 13 laying out the strictures of when to know if a prophet is true or false. And what is the basic pattern that is given. Any new revelation, any new prophetic word, quote unquote, that comes has to be consistent with previous revelation. There will be no new revelations or prophetic lineage or preachers or apostles or whatever that contradict the correct interpretation of Moses, Isaiah, etc. This is a fundamental argument that all the Jews had, right? That's why Jesus and Paul are constantly arguing about whether they are in continuity with the Old Testament, because everybody assumes that you have to be. Yes, absolutely. Whether it's the Pharisees, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Paul, everybody agrees, yes, you have to be consistent with what came before. You can't be, because of Deuteronomy 13 and Deuteronomy 18. It lays down this stricture. And God says, if they don't teach according to this law, you know they're a false prophet, stone them, get rid of them, they have the death penalty, blah, 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 right? That's what was laid down then as the measure. So Paul, throughout most of his apologetic, is constantly trying to demonstrate and show that he is in continuity with previous revelation. And he does. He shows that very fluently, consistently in Romans, in Galatians. Tradition says he wrote Hebrews, right? Paul makes that case forcefully when you have a holistic understanding of what Paul wrote, right? You can't just take one thing he wrote and try to, I read Galatians and, because it's a holistic thing, right? Read all of Paul's writings and see if he's consistent with the law of Moses and the prophets. And he is. That's why Christianity is true, because Paul is consistent. He's consistent with Jesus. So what does he say in Galatians that makes this point? In Galatians 1, Paul repeats the dictum of Deuteronomy 13 and Deuteronomy 18 about a true prophet. Now, not word for word, I'm saying that Paul, being studied in the law, sitting at the feet of Gamaliel, he knew what was in the law. He quotes the law and the prophets all the time. And Paul says in Galatians 1, if an angel from heaven or anyone who claims to be in continuity with me and Jesus, if they come to you and they teach differently than what you've heard taught, then you know they're a false prophet. Paul is repeating Deuteronomy 13 and 18, that dictum there. And so what I'm saying is that when you do understand the Bible, when you do understand the law of Moses and the prophets, you see the continuity. It's very clear. And Paul is not teaching some crazy new gospel different than Jesus. That's how we know Paul's revelation is legitimate, not because he just claims to have a revelation. It's a fundamental stupid mistake that a lot of people make. They say, why would you follow Paul? He's a mystic. I follow Jesus, not Paul. Right? Well, Jesus claims to be God. Jesus claims to read the Gospel of John, right? So just really ignorant mistakes, ignorance of the Old Testament, actually. It's a huge problem, really. Now, let's get back to Jordan here. But so that would be the way I would respond to the people who will kind of pull out this argument of, well, if you don't listen to mystical experiences, you got to give up Paul in the New Testament. So running through this whole approach of Jordan is a pragmatic utilitarian assumption, right? If religion helps people, if religion soothes you on the deathbed, if mystical experiences and shrooms, help you quit smoking, right? It's as if It's a self-help program, right? And I mean, I guess that from a psychological perspective, you could understand why he might view it that way. But that's not Christianity, right? Christianity is not a self-help program. There might be aspects of living the Christian life which are obviously beneficial and helpful and healthful to you. Healthy, yeah, sure. But that's not what this is. This is not a Joel Osteen, Carl Jung, Norman Vincent Peale positive thinking rehab program.